a peaceful village nestled between rolling hills and a sparkling river, there was a special place known to everyone as Lullaby Grove. This enchanted grove was unlike any other, for it was filled with tall, ancient trees that whispered the softest and sweetest lullabies to those who visited. These trees were said to be as old as time itself, with branches that reached high into the sky and roots that ran deep into the earth. Every evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon and the sky turned a gentle shade of twilight, the villagers would gather at Lullaby Grove. The grove was bathed in a soft, golden light as fireflies danced among the leaves, their tiny lights flickering like stars come down to earth. The air was always warm and filled with the scent of blooming jasmine, which seemed to calm even the most restless of hearts. Among the villagers was a little girl named Lily. Lily had curly hair the color of honey and eyes that sparkled like the river on a sunny day. She was known for her curiosity and her love of adventure, but there was one thing she loved more than anything else in the world: listening to the whispering trees of Lullaby Grove. One evening, just as the first stars began to twinkle in the sky, Lily's mother tucked her into bed and kissed her good night. But Lily, feeling particularly restless, asked, "Mama, can we go to Lullaby Grove tonight? I want to hear the trees sing." Her mother smiled softly and nodded. "Of course, my little star. Let's go." Hand in hand, Lily and her mother walked through the quiet village streets, their footsteps barely making a sound on the soft, grassy path. The night was calm, with a gentle breeze that carried the scent of jasmine and the distant sound of the river murmuring softly to itself. As they entered Lullaby Grove, the whispering trees seemed to welcome them. The leaves rustled gently, and the air was filled with a soft, melodic hum that made Lily feel warm and safe. They found a cozy spot beneath the tallest tree in the grove, a grand old oak with a trunk so wide that it would take 5 people holding hands to reach around it. Lily snuggled up to her mother, resting her head on her shoulder, and listened as the tree began to whisper its lullaby. The melody was soft and slow, like the sound of a gentle stream flowing over smooth stones. The words, though not quite words at all, seemed to wrap around Lily like a warm blanket, soothing her mind and making her eyelids feel heavy. As the lullaby continued, Lily's thoughts began to drift. She imagined herself in a beautiful meadow, where the grass was as soft as a feather bed, and the flowers bloomed in every color of the rainbow. The sky above was a deep, velvety blue, dotted with twinkling stars that winked down at her, as if sharing a secret. In her mind, Lily saw herself walking through the meadow, her bare feet tickled by the cool grass. The air was filled with the sweet scent of flowers and the soft hum of bees gathering nectar. She walked and walked until she reached the edge of the meadow, where she found a small, crystal-clear pond. The water was so still that it reflected the sky above perfectly, making it seem as though she could step right into the sky if she wanted to. As she knelt by the pond, a tiny frog hopped onto a lily pad and looked up at her with bright, curious eyes. "Hello, little one," the frog croaked in a voice that was surprisingly deep for such a small creature. "What brings you to the Pond of Dreams?" Lily smiled and replied, "I'm just exploring. I didn't know there was a pond here." The frog nodded wisely. "This is a special place, you see. The Pond of Dreams shows you whatever your heart desires. All you have to do is look into the water and make a wish." Lily leaned over the pond and gazed into its clear depths. For a moment, she saw nothing but her own reflection and the stars twinkling above. But as she closed her eyes and made a wish, the water began to shimmer and ripple. When she opened her eyes again, she saw something magical. The water had transformed into a window to another world, a world where everything was made of shimmering light. There were castles of crystal, forests of glowing trees, and rivers of liquid silver that sparkled in the moonlight. And in this world, Lily could see herself, running through the glowing fields with a crown of flowers on her head and a smile on her face. The scene was so beautiful, so peaceful, that Lily felt her heart swell with happiness. She wanted to stay in this world forever, to explore its wonders and bask in its beauty. But just as she reached out to touch the water, the frog spoke again. "Remember, little one," he said gently, "the pond of dreams is just that, a dream. It is a place you can visit whenever you need to, but you must always return to the world of the waking." Lily nodded, understanding the frog's words. With a final glance at the shimmering world in the water, she stood up and smiled at the frog. "Thank you," she said softly. The frog winked at her and hopped away, disappearing into the tall grass. Lily watched him go, feeling a sense of contentment wash over her. As she turned to leave the pond and return to the meadow, the whispering trees of Lullaby Grove began to sing a new lullaby. This one was even softer, like the gentle sigh of a summer breeze, and it carried Lily back through the meadow, past the blooming flowers, and into the arms of her mother. Back in Lullaby Grove, Lily snuggled closer to her mother as the lullaby wrapped around them like a warm embrace. The stars above twinkled brightly, and the fireflies danced among the branches, their soft glow matching the rhythm of the song. Lily's eyes grew heavier and heavier, and before she knew it, she was drifting off to sleep, her mind filled with dreams of crystal castles and glowing forests. The last thing she heard before she fell into a deep, peaceful slumber was the soft, comforting voice of the whispering trees, singing her into the sweetest of dreams. And so, under the watchful branches of the ancient trees, Lily slept soundly, knowing that she was safe and loved, surrounded by the magic of Lullaby Grove.
In a quiet village that rested on the edge of a vast forest, there lived two little fireflies named Star and Spark. Star was the older of the two, with wings that glowed a gentle, calming blue. Spark, on the other hand, was a bit younger and full of energy, his wings flickering a bright and playful yellow. The two were inseparable, always flitting about the village and the forest, exploring every nook and cranny they could find. One evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon and the sky filled with the soft light of twilight, Star and Spark decided to go on a special journey. They had heard from the elder fireflies that there was a magical place deep within the forest, a hidden grove where the moonlight touched the earth, turning everything it touched into shimmering silver. This place was known as the Moonlit Glade, and it was said to be the most peaceful and beautiful place in the entire forest. "Let's go find the Moonlit Glade tonight," Spark suggested, his wings flickering with excitement. Star smiled softly and nodded. That sounds like a wonderful idea. But remember, the forest can be a bit tricky to navigate at night. We'll need to stick together and follow the moonlight. And so, with the last rays of the sun fading away and the first stars beginning to twinkle in the sky, Star and Spark set off on their journey. The forest was alive with the gentle sounds of the night, crickets chirping, leaves rustling in the breeze, and the distant hoot of an owl. The air was cool and filled with the sweet scent of pine and moss, making the forest feel both mysterious and comforting at the same time. As they flew deeper into the forest, the trees grew taller and the shadows longer. The path beneath them was dappled with patches of moonlight, guiding them through the winding trails. Star led the way, her soft blue glow lighting up the path ahead, while Spark darted around her, his bright yellow light flickering playfully among the trees. After a while, they came across a small clearing where the trees parted to reveal a crystal-clear pond. The surface of the water was so still that it reflected the sky above perfectly, making it seem as though there were two moons, one in the sky and one in the pond. "Let's rest here for a moment," Star suggested, landing gently on a leaf that floated on the pond's surface. Spark hovered beside her, his wings still buzzing with excitement. "Do you think we're close to the moonlit glade?" Star looked around thoughtfully. "I think so. The air feels different here, calmer, almost as if the forest is holding its breath." As they rested by the pond, the moon climbed higher into the sky, casting its silvery light across the forest. The trees around them seemed to shimmer, their leaves sparkling like tiny stars in the moonlight. It was as if the entire forest had become a part of the night sky, with Star and Spark floating among the stars themselves. After a few moments of peaceful quiet, Star and Spark took to the air once more, continuing their journey through the forest. The further they went, the more magical the forest became. They passed by trees with trunks that glowed faintly in the dark, and flowers that opened only at night, releasing a sweet, soothing fragrance into the air. Finally, after what felt like hours of flying, they came upon a hidden grove. The trees here were taller and more ancient than any they had seen before, their branches reaching high into the sky. In the center of the grove, the ground was bathed in a soft, silvery light, the moonlight touching the earth just as the elder fireflies had said. "This must be the moonlit glade," Spark whispered, his voice filled with awe. Star nodded, her blue light flickering gently. "It's even more beautiful than I imagined." The moonlit glade was truly a sight to behold. The grass beneath them was soft and silver, shimmering as if it were made of the finest silk. The leaves on the trees sparkled like diamonds, and the air was filled with a gentle, melodic hum that seemed to come from the very earth itself. As they flew around the glade, Star and Spark felt a deep sense of peace wash over them. The worries and troubles of the day seemed to melt away, replaced by a feeling of calm and contentment. It was as if the moonlit glade was a place where only happiness and serenity could exist. They decided to rest on a soft patch of silver grass, lying back and gazing up at the sky. The stars above twinkled brightly, and the moon shone down on them, its light wrapping them in a warm, gentle embrace. "Do you think we could stay here forever?" Spark asked softly, his voice filled with wonder. Star smiled and shook her head. "The moonlit glade is a special place, but we have our own home in the village. We can always come back here whenever we need to find peace." Spark nodded, understanding. "You're right. But I'm glad we found it. It's like a little piece of magic, just for us." As they lay there, basking in the tranquility of the moonlit glade, they began to feel their eyes grow heavy. The soft hum of the grove, combined with the soothing light of the moon, was like a lullaby, lulling them into a peaceful slumber. And so, under the watchful gaze of the moon and the twinkling stars, Star and Spark drifted off to sleep, their wings glowing faintly in the silver light. The moonlit glade, with all its magic and beauty, kept them safe and warm, cradling them in its peaceful embrace. In the morning, they would return to their village, their hearts filled with the memory of their magical journey. But for now, they slept soundly, dreaming of shimmering trees, sparkling flowers, and the soft, silvery light of the moonlit glade. In the heart of a lush, green forest, where the trees stood tall and the air was filled with the scent of pine and wildflowers, there was a small, serene pond. This pond was no ordinary pond. It was known to the creatures of the forest as the Starry Pond, for every night, as the sky darkened and the stars began to twinkle, the pond would come alive with a magical glow. The surface of the Starry Pond was as smooth as glass, reflecting the sky above with perfect clarity. But what made this pond truly special were the tiny lights that danced upon its surface, twinkling and sparkling just like the stars in the sky. These lights were not mere reflections, they were the star sprites, tiny magical beings that lived within the pond and came out every night to dance and play. One evening, as the sun was setting and the forest was bathed in a warm, golden light, a little rabbit named Thistle hopped toward the Starry Pond. Thistle was a curious and adventurous rabbit, always eager to explore the wonders of the forest. She had heard stories from the elder animals about the star sprites and how they danced upon the pond at night, and she longed to see them with her own eyes. As she reached the edge of the pond, Thistle sat quietly, her nose twitching in anticipation. The sun dipped below the horizon, and the sky began to darken, the first stars appearing one by one. Thistle watched in awe as the surface of the pond began to shimmer with a soft, golden light. Slowly, the star sprites emerged, their tiny forms glowing like fireflies. The star sprites were delicate, glowing creatures with wings that sparkled like the night sky. They danced gracefully across the surface of the pond, leaving trails of light in their wake. Their movements were fluid and mesmerizing, as if they were weaving a tapestry of light across the water. Thistle watched in silent wonder, her heart filled with joy. The star sprites seemed to notice her presence and, with a gentle flicker, invited her to join their dance. "Come, little rabbit," whispered one of the sprites, her voice as soft as the rustling leaves. "Join us in our dance beneath the stars." Thistle hesitated for a moment, unsure if she could dance as gracefully as the sprites. But the star sprites smiled at her with such warmth and kindness that her worries melted away. She took a deep breath and hopped onto a smooth stone that jutted out from the pond's edge. To her delight, the stone began to glow softly beneath her feet, and as she moved, the light followed her, creating ripples of gold that spread across the water. Thistle giggled with joy and began to hop and twirl, her reflection dancing alongside her on the pond's surface. The star sprites surrounded her, their light growing brighter as they twirled and spun around the little rabbit. Together, they danced beneath the stars, their movements in perfect harmony with the soft, melodic hum that filled the air. As they danced, Thistle noticed something even more magical. The stars above seemed to be moving along with them, swirling in patterns that matched the dance below. It was as if the entire universe was joining in their joyous celebration. "How is this possible?" Thistle asked, her eyes wide with wonder. The lead sprite, a tiny being with wings that shimmered like silver, floated close to her. "The Starry Pond is a place where the magic of the forest meets the magic of the stars. When we dance, we connect the earth and the sky, and for a moment, they become one." Thistle felt a deep sense of peace and belonging as she continued to dance with the star sprites. The worries and cares of the world seemed to drift away, replaced by a feeling of pure, unbridled joy. The night passed in a blur of light and laughter, and before she knew it, the first light of dawn began to peek over the horizon. The star sprites, their energy spent, began to fade back into the pond, their light growing dimmer with each passing moment. "Will I see you again?" Thistle asked, her heart aching at the thought of the magic ending. The lead sprite smiled gently at her. "We will always be here, little rabbit. Whenever you need us, just come to the starry pond at night, and we will dance with you beneath the stars." With that, the last of the star sprites disappeared beneath the surface of the pond, leaving only the faintest shimmer of light behind. Thistle sat by the edge of the pond, watching as the sun began to rise, casting a golden glow over the forest. As she made her way back home, Thistle's heart was light, and her spirit was filled with the magic of the starry pond. She knew that she would return again, whenever she needed to feel the wonder and joy that the star sprites had brought into her life. And so, every night, when the stars began to twinkle in the sky, Thistle would return to the starry pond, where the magic of the forest and the magic of the stars would come together in a dance of light and joy, reminding her that she was never alone and that there was always a place of wonder and peace waiting for her. In a quiet meadow, surrounded by rolling hills and fields of wildflowers, there stood an ancient willow tree. This was no ordinary willow, but a wise and magical tree known to the creatures of the meadow as the Whispering Willow. Its long, graceful branches dipped low to the ground, creating a hidden sanctuary beneath its leafy canopy where the animals of the meadow would gather to listen to the tree's gentle whispers. The Whispering Willow had been there for as long as anyone could remember, and it had a special gift. Whenever the wind blew through its branches, the tree would whisper secrets of the earth, tales of the past, and stories of the future. These whispers were soft and soothing, like a lullaby carried on the breeze, and they brought comfort to all who heard them. One summer evening, as the sun was setting and the sky was painted in hues of pink and gold, a little mouse named Mabel scurried toward the Whispering Willow. Mabel was a shy and timid mouse, but she had heard from the other animals that the willow could share wisdom and stories that would ease her worries. As she approached the tree, Mabel hesitated, her tiny heart fluttering with nervousness. The willow's branches swayed gently in the evening breeze, and she could hear the faintest murmur of its whispers. Taking a deep breath, Mabel bravely stepped beneath the tree's canopy, where the air was cool and filled with the scent of earth and leaves. The ground beneath her was soft with moss, and the light that filtered through the leaves was warm and dappled, creating a peaceful, inviting atmosphere. "Hello," Mabel squeaked, her voice barely more than a whisper. The branches of the willow rustled softly in response, and a gentle, soothing voice replied, "Welcome, little one. What brings you to the whispering willow this evening?" Mabel looked around, realizing that the voice was coming from the tree itself. "I've heard that you tell stories and offer advice," she said, her tiny whiskers trembling. "I've been feeling so small and afraid lately. The world seems so big and full of dangers, and I don't know how to be brave." The willow's branches swayed gently, as if nodding in understanding. "It's natural to feel small in such a vast world," the tree whispered, its voice like the rustling of leaves in the wind. "But even the smallest of creatures can have the greatest of hearts. Let me tell you a story about a little firefly who found her light." Mabel's ears perked up as she settled down on the soft moss, eager to hear the willow's tale. "Once, in a meadow much like this one," the whispering willow began, "there lived a tiny firefly named Lila. Lila was the smallest firefly in her family, and she often felt overlooked and unimportant. While her siblings would flit and flash their bright lights in the night sky, Lila's light was faint and flickering, and she felt too shy to join them." Mabel nodded, already feeling a connection to Lila's story. "One evening," the willow continued, "as the fireflies danced in the moonlit sky, Lila noticed a faint glow coming from deep within the forest. Curious, she ventured away from the safety of the meadow and into the dark, dense woods. The trees were tall and the shadows were deep, but Lila was determined to find the source of the light." Mabel's eyes widened as she imagined Lila's bravery. As Lila flew deeper into the forest, the willow whispered, she found a small, lost star that had fallen from the sky. The star was dim and fading, its light growing weaker with each passing moment. Lila knew she had to help, but she wasn't sure how. The willow's branches rustled softly, as if encouraging Mabel to listen closely. Though Lila's own light was faint, she flew up to the star and offered it her warmth and her courage. She stayed by the star's side all night, whispering words of hope and comfort, and slowly, the star began to regain its glow. By the time the first light of dawn appeared, the star was shining brightly once more, ready to return to the sky. Mabel's heart swelled with warmth as she imagined the little firefly's kindness. Lila realized that her light, though small, had made a big difference, the willow concluded. And when she returned to the meadow, she found that her own light was now shining brighter than ever before. From that day on, Lila joined her siblings in their nightly dance, her light adding to the beauty of the night sky. The whispering willow's branches swayed gently in the breeze, as if embracing Mabel in a warm hug. "You see, little one, bravery isn't about being big or strong. It's about having the courage to help others, even when you feel small. Your kindness and heart make you braver than you know." Mabel smiled, feeling a sense of peace and confidence wash over her. The worries that had weighed on her heart began to lift, replaced by the belief that she, too, could be brave in her own way.